charcoal canister delete. So the reason I decided to delete this is because my tank was starting to build up pressure. I would, over the past few days, I would get home and I would hear hissing coming from the tank. I would open the top, it would relieve pressure. So I kind of looked in how the tank vents. The older DR tanks vent through the gas cap. There's a mechanism in there, but the DRs that have the emission systems have a pair valve, which injects fresh air into the exhaust to reduce on emissions. One more thing to cork up the DR. And then you also have the Evap canister, which is no longer here. I took it off. I put the tool tube back where it was because pre-emissions it was there, not there. I did put the bolts back in here, the 2 bolts back in here, because when you have this, when you have this Evap here, you got one hose coming off the back to vent, and then you got 2 hoses coming from this, and along the there's a bracket here that runs the hoses to route them. There's 2 hoses. One goes on the bottom of the carb, one goes on the bottom of the tank, and the one on the bottom of the tank is the one that vents it out to the charcoal canister, which catches the vapors. Somehow gasoline got in that line, because I could tell inside the hoses there was gasoline, there was ooze around it, and it wasn't venting. So that's why I took it off. It also has other benefits, like no longer do you have this bracket here in the way of the air box. Like I said, I put these bolts back in here because whenever you have any threads exposed, they tend to rust. So I put them back in, and I figured, just fill that hole. But anyway, so yeah, what I did was I didn't even need to buy anything to delete this. I just used the hoses I had from the Evap canister. This hose is on the bottom of the carb, and it has a bolt in there held by a clamp. There's a clamp at the top, and then on the other side, you're gonna have the vent line. The vent line, you have to route it down here, okay, and then it's routed down here, right there, and that's gonna vent any vapors. What I want to do is get some kind of a T or something that kind of puts it back this way. You don't want it to get to the rear wheel. I'll eventually get the Cherubi's tank, and that way I will just be able to vent it through the gas cap. That's another angle of the bottom of the carb. So anyways, we deleted that, which is really going to allow the bike to be a little less corked up, but it solves my issue with the pressure in the gas tank. So anyways, that's a easy, it takes you 10 minutes and you have everything you need. When you do the pair valve, you're gonna need a block off plate, and I think you can actually even render that useless, but you'll have to leave that on there where it's hooked up, where you would put the block off plate, but I'm not really too worried about that. The pair valve doesn't really bother me too much, but it does increase heat, so I don't feel there's really any reason to have it at this point. But I did finish my carb mod, so I'm gonna make another video about that. Got that taken apart, got that accommodated for the GSXR exhaust, and it's running great. Anyways, God bless.